It is Villa versus Bayern Munich this evening in the Champions League. Huge night for the club. It's live on talkSPORT, and I'm sure bouncing off the walls currently ahead of kick-off. He can't wait for 8 o'clock. It's Stan Collymore. Good afternoon, Stan.
Gentlemen, I was stuck at Crawley Services on the way up, so apologies that I wasn't on a little bit earlier. I tried to get an aligning quality, and the good folks at whoever makes the internet near Crawley Services decided that Edge Network was as far as they were going to go. So I'm back in God's promised land of Cannock, Staffordshire. Cannock Villa flag ready. Champions of Europe, Davenport, home shirt from 1982 ready. I cannot wait.
Oh, look at the shirt.
Look at that. I can see it. It's an old vintage shirt. People can see there on. Look at that.
Oh, that looks great.
That's a corker. I say, a lovely touch by the club to put Gary Shaw on the programme in the Villa squad tonight, Stan.
Yeah, just at the bottom. It's got all of the numbers of the players, and then at the bottom it's got Gary Shaw with the European Cup next to it. He was as I've said a couple of times on the show, my ultimate Villa hero, my ultimate football hero. So the fact that the club have commemorated his passing in such a way, look, he's an immortal at Villa anyway. A local lad that won the league, won the European Cup, won the Golden Boy, won the Super Cup in a. You know, they often say about careers having, a long career, a Carragher or a Neville, where you have 14, 15 years. Really, Gary Shaw had 4 or 5 years because it was curtailed because of injury. But he shot like a shooting star and won everything there was to win. The most humble men, and I think that he'll be looking down tonight, watching Villa Park against Bayern Munich, all of the claret, all of the blue, all of the tifo, all of his former teammates, and would be very proud man indeed.
Yeah, a lot of emotion tonight, a lot of expectation, a lot of excitement, but Bayern, won't be easy with it. They could spoil the party because they're a pretty decent team and they're not playing badly.
I watched Celtic's first game. I think it's Slovan Bratislava. Villa played Celtic at Villa Park later in the league stage. I thought, crikey, Celtic looked really good here. They could give Villa a real test. And then, of course, they get beat comfortably by Borussia Dortmund last night. Bayern have started the season very well, as you'd expect them to be, going head-to-head with Leverkusen. I think a draw at the weekend. But in the likes of Gnabry, of course, that we know from his time at Arsenal, Elise from Palace, Musiala, Will Kane, won't he make it? Alphonso Davies bombing from full-back positions. They've got goals and creativity from a number of positions. And look, in Germany, quite simply, they're called FC Hollywood, and they have the same expectation on them as Real Madrid would do in Spain, as a Liverpool or a Manchester United would in England, as an Ajax would in Holland. They are imbued with, we have to win every game at all costs. So they'll be aware, and their players will be aware of the history with Aston Villa, that they lost one European Cup 40 odd years ago in the Kuipstadion in Rotterdam. But for the modern players, it will just be another Champions League game. They'll get over the anthem. They'll get over the noise of the first 10, 15 minutes at Villa. And there is a little bit of a concern, Paul and Andy, that, Villa this time last year, if you remember, were keeping clean sheets and winning games. I remember 2 games that I went to back-to-back. We beat Manchester City and we beat Arsenal, both 1-0. Really good attacking performances, but really good defensive performances. In our last 2 games, we've conceded 2 against Everton and 2 against Ipswich. Now, with the greatest respect to both of those clubs, nobody's expecting either to be in the top 5 or 6 of the Premier League. We are conceding goals. Diego Carlos in particular has come up for a little bit of criticism at the right side of central defence. A lot of people, me included, would hope Ezri Konsa gets to play there, but then it leaves us a bit of a hole at right back. So I think tonight, if Villa are going to get anything positive from the game, we have to keep a clean sheet.
That's going to be tough. I do fancy you to score, though. Because, Upamecano and Kim Min-jae, they can be a bit hit and miss. And, you've got a lot of weapons. You've got a lot of weapons from in the starting 11, and you've got John Duran probably to come off the bench. So I think there's goals for Villa. And I've said earlier on to Andy, I think Emery, I wouldn't fancy you without Emery being the coach, but he's such a good coach in Europe. I think. Would you take the draw as we speak, Stan?
I'd take the draw happily. 4 points from 2 games, I would take absolutely. I think it's going to be very difficult tonight. I think that when you have a lot of emotion around a one-off game that, you know, for my generation of Villa fans, this is the return of where we believe we should be, because we beat Bayern Munich. And of course, we've got Juventus, the last team that we played in this level of football. For the youngsters, I'm seeing a lot of them tweeting 6 years ago, it was the cabbage, Steve Bruce, and we drew 3-3 against Preston. They've seen nothing like it. So there's going to be a lot of emotion around Villa Park. I'm sure that Unai Emery will say, play the game, let's not play the occasion. And I do believe we can get a result, but we've got to be back to the levels, make no bones about it, of Arsenal or Manchester City of last season. Otherwise, we'll concede goals. And if we concede goals, you only have to look at what Dortmund did last night. You only have to look at what the clubs that are expecting to win the Champions League this season, the Manchester Cities, they can get away from you very, very quickly. So the first 20, 25 minutes is going to be crucial. Keep a clean sheet. Ask questions going forward. And if we can get into the second half level or even ahead, then, of course, as you mentioned, with the likes of Duran, other players to come off the bench, we've got a real chance. But I think that the first 25 minutes are absolutely crucial tonight at Villa Park.
Do you ever wear any of your own Villa shirts for the game? Not your match worns or not?
I don't. I've got some. I've actually got one that I found out the other day, which was one of Gary Shaw's early Villa shirts. Wow. And it was an Umbro one with the number 8 on the back before we went to the talkSPORT and, of course, won the tournament. And underneath, there was, if you remember, there were issues around Umbro and the word Umbro underneath a lot of the badges. Liverpool, I think, they just literally stitched like red over the top of the Umbro badge, because in those days, they didn't have somebody that could remake a lot of shirts. So I was going to wear that one tonight. But I've gone for the home champions of Europe, Davenport, and the talkSPORT. But no, I'm not. I am very precious, and I have got a big ego. But I wouldn't be going into Villa Park tonight with Collymore 9 on my back.
I would imagine that
the
white shirt they won it in, the away shirt, is a big seller. I imagine there'll be a fair few people in those tonight at the game.
Yeah, I think that the amazing thing for me was when we went from Umbro to the talkSPORT. If I remember my mum buying it, and it came in a sort of presentation box, and it was just how beautiful it was. It went from sort of cotton to this sort of, and again, both Spurs and Chelsea had the talkSPORT kits at the same time. Yeah. And if you remember, they had this beautiful. They were fitted. They were a lot tighter, and they had this sheen to them. I remember the Spurs one. You know, the beautiful white sheen, in the Chelsea, the blue with a little sort of red, white, and blue stripes across. And they heralded modernity for me in the 80s. So, for me, wearing that shirt, we're the only club, I believe, English club, to have the moniker, and we did it the season after we won it, when we were trying to retain it, that just above that beautiful badge, which was in the middle of the shirt, champions of Europe underneath. It's just mythical amongst Villa fans. So I'll be wearing that tonight. Davenport's underneath it, which I don't know whether Davenport's brewery even exists anymore. I'm sure somebody will text you and tell you that you can get it somewhere. But yeah, just very, very excited. Wear your claret and blue, sing the songs. I've got my Cannock Villa flag. Keep your eye out for it at the upper Holt end. And hopefully we can make it a night to remember.
Just looked it up, Stan. Yeah, alive and kicking, Davenport's brewery. Since 1829, they're still going strong.
There you go. So my task is tonight to find 5 or 6 pints of it pre-match.
Cheers, Stan. Enjoy the game. All the best.
Take care of the European Villa.
There we are, the Stan Collymore on his way to Villa
still
Park.
Paying out.
Yes, it is. It's always good that when you get an old one paying out, after all those years. So, good luck to Villa at night. Enjoy if you're going along. It is. I mean, I remember the first time we got into the Champions League, and I always said, I think I'd be in tears the first time they played the music after all these years not being in it.
It is great when you hear the music.
But of course, the first night they ever played it at White Hart Lane, our entry passes weren't working, so I got in 5 minutes late. So thanks ever so much. Yes, thank you, Spurs.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.